Have you ever walked away from an argument and thought I shouldn't have said that? Or worse, you stayed silent because you didn't know what to say. Then regretted not speaking up? Both are signs of emotion leading the way instead of reason. And in this video, I'm going to teach you how to stay genuinely calm, not the fake kind of calm, but the kind that makes the person across from you respect you. First, let's understand what happens in the brain when you're triggered. When you feel threatened or attacked, even verbally, the amygdala activates the fight or flight response. Blood flows to the muscles, heart rate rises. And the prefrontal cortex, the part that handles logic, goes offline. This is called an amygdala hijack. The emotional brain takes over. And in that state, anything you say is not your best self. So the first step is recognizing that moment. When you feel your internal temperature rising, when your breathing shortens, when there's a strong impulse to respond immediately, that's a signal. Not a signal to speak, but a signal to pause. The simplest and most effective technique is controlled deep breathing. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, exhale for 6 seconds. Just one breath cycle like that is enough to lower your heart rate and bring the prefrontal cortex back online. This isn't self-suggestion, this is physiology. You cannot be angry and breathe slowly and deeply at the same time. The second technique: ask a question instead of firing back. When someone says something that stings, instead of reacting immediately, ask, "Can you clarify what you mean by that?" That question does two things at once: it buys you time to regulate your emotions, and it forces the other person to articulate their position more clearly, which often leads them to realize they were being excessive. The third technique: separate the person from the behavior. Someone who speaks harshly to you is usually processing their own emotions, not necessarily making a true judgment about you. When you see it that way, the anger drops significantly. They're speaking from their own state, not about your value. The fourth technique: control your voice. In a confrontation, the first person to raise their voice is usually the first to lose, not because they're wrong, but because they're signaling loss of control. The person who keeps their voice low, slow, and clear while the other is shouting is the one controlling the entire dialogue. Raising your voice escalates. Staying steady de-escalates. And here is something important to understand: staying calm doesn't mean being passive. You can still speak your mind, hold your position, disagree strongly while being completely composed. That is real strength. Not the loudest person in the room, but the calmest person is usually the one with the most actual control. Next time you walk into a confrontation, remember, you cannot control what others say, but you have complete control over how you respond. And how you respond is what people remember forever. Like and subscribe if this video gave you tools you needed. Comment below the situation where you find it hardest to stay in control.